Hey guys, welcome back to Guys Stuff. Today we're making the world's best Walmart red chili. Why do I call it that? Because you can get everything at Walmart. Yay! First of all, a little word about chilies. There are, in my opinion, three basic types out there. You got your bean chili, and that's what most people think of. That's the kind you can get out of a can or in one of those pre-packs. You know, just add water, spice it up a bit, maybe add some ground beef. That kind of chili. That's what most people think of. What you see on TV, though, during the chili cook-offs and the World Chili Championships, stuff like that, that's usually what's called a red chili, and that's what we're making today. And there's no beans in it. It's just meat, the sauces, and most importantly, the spice blends. There's also a green chili, and that's kind of self-explanatory, but we're doing the traditional red for this recipe. It's really easy. It can be your first time a little bit expensive if you don't specifically have all the different spices and chilies that you may want, but every time after that it's super cheap. So if you invest a little bit in some chili powders, you're good to go for a while. The meat is the only per batch expensive thing, and I mean you can get it pretty cheap. I got this for $5 a pound. I'm using 4 pounds of stew meat. You can use any lean, tender steak meat you want. Sirloin is a really good option for that. You just cut it up yourself. We're going to be cutting this down smaller. We want these in about 1/4 inch, tiny bite-sized pieces. So I'm going to be probably cutting these little chunks into thirds, and that'll be perfect. Prep is really easy. You do want to start with a very lean meat, and all you have to do is cut it up, and that's good to go. The rest of it is simply dividing up some of your spices. The way this is done is kind of like a rocket. It's done in stages. We're going to do this in 4 parts. And after each part, the chili is going to be allowed to cook and basically stew and let the flavors and everything come together. Now there are infinite, literally, possibilities on how to make a chili because of all the combinations and ratios of all the different spices out there that you could possibly imagine. I'm going to be using a combination of 4 different chili powders, plus some cumin, some garlic powder, some onion powder. Those are our base spices, and those are going to go in very different ratios because these spices are all very different. Here we've got just generic McCormick chili powder. And if you get a different brand of regular chili powder, it's going to taste different. So, I mean, you can do this recipe exactly as I do it and get one flavor. If you get different brands, different types, you're going to have a different chili. And even me doing it batch to batch, it's almost impossible to get the same thing 2 batches in a row. There's just a lot of variables, but I get it close. So what this gives us is the traditional chili taste. This is what you think of when you eat one of those bean chilies. We're going to be using this the most. There's really no heat in this. It's almost all flavor. So this is a great base chili powder, and that's why I buy it in these bigger tubs. I usually actually have one this size, but I ran out. It's really good to get stuff like this at Sam's Club or Costco or whatever warehouse club you have. These little guys here are the most expensive. These are $5 a piece for a little tiny bottle. What is this? 1.62 ounces. These good sized ones, which you can get at any normal grocery store like Walmart, 9.25 ounces. And then you go up to the big bulk size and you're at 13 ounces. This was $9. Alright? If it's a common spice, the warehouse clubs are going to carry it. And the price difference is just ridiculous. So 2 of these, 3 ounces, gets you 4 times as much for the same price at a warehouse club. So you can see why if you cook with something regularly, get the warehouse size. But the specialty stuff you can't, so you have to buy it how you have to buy it. This is ancho chili powder, and this doesn't have a lot of heat. And when in doubt, just sample it so you know exactly what it tastes like, how it's going to affect things, and then you can make a decision on how you want to add it to your chili. This has a very deep flavor, no sweetness. It's a very heavy, slightly spicy chili powder. It's got that just real, almost earthy core to it. It has a very long flavor, very long aftertaste. So we'll be using this in moderation, because I don't want a lot of that deep flavor, but we want to give layers of flavor to the chili. That's the point of doing it in stages. Now this quote-unquote hot Mexican style chili powder, very common. This actually has a lot of sweetness. Has a little bit of heat just coming up right now. Nothing immediate. Just a nice, kind of like a sweet, little bit fiery version of this. So that's a nice flavor. Nothing that's going to burn your tongue off at all, though. Then we have chipotle. Woo! And that has an immediate fire kick. Also very sweet. Woo! Wow! Oh yeah. Very intensifying heat. Oh wow. Man. Really going over my tongue. My whole mouth is on fire from that. So this one, whoo, this is going to be our heat kick. So if you want your chili on the hotter side, you kick up the ratio of this. If you don't, you kick this down. We're going to be doing this definitely in the lowest volume, probably just a teaspoon near the last batch. Whew. That's where the heat's going to come from. So those different flavors, and we're also going to be obviously putting in other stuff too as a base spice rub, or not a rub, blend. And I'm going to put in a little of my Frank's Red Hot, just because I love the flavor of it. We also have a couple different tomato sauces. Got just regular, and that's just part of the base of the chili. Not really much flavor in that. And we have Mexican, and this has a kick to it. Different than the spice kick, but it's more of an acidic, tomato spicy kick. We're also going to be putting in just a little bit of chopped green chilies. Again, a different kind of heat, a different kind of sweet pepper taste. And so how much you put in of all of those gives you the flavor of your chili. We're going to be using both chicken and beef broth. This is going to be obviously the liquid base for the chili. We're not going to use too much of it. We want it to cook on the thick side, and at the very end we can add a little bit of chicken broth to thin it out to exactly where we want to if need be. So this is going to be, we'll probably get 10 or 12 bowls out of this. So double the recipe if you want to cook a big batch. I don't think we're going to fill this even halfway up, or cut it if it's just for 2 people. So now this is a good middle of the road mixture here. And if you had all these spices, just had to buy the the basic ingredients, you're making a big pot for under 30 bucks. So not that bad. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is start cutting up our meat. Like I said, little 1/4-inch pieces, and then we're going to start braising it with just a little bit of spice. Okay, I have trimmed up our meat. The most important thing about it is you need to trim off the fat, any kind of silver skin. You want little chunks, 1/4-inch bite-sized chunks. Remember, this is eaten with a spoon, not a knife and a fork, so nice little chunks. This is half the beef. I'm going to do it in a couple different stages here because I have twice as much to go in. And what we're going to do is brown this. We're not cooking it, we're not searing it. What we're going to do, let's kick on the heat here, is just add some oil. Of course I touched the beef with my left hand here. A couple tablespoons of oil here, and we're just going to get it nice and grayed up. Get a little bit of layer flavor on the outside. Just start to cook it. It's going to get tender from sitting in this pot and basically stewing for hours. So like I said, you can use any kind of beef you want, just make sure it's very lean and a tender cut. That's the important thing. To this we are going to add, get it unchunked here, we've got our garlic powder. You can use fresh garlic if you want. It's my preference though in a chili to actually use as many powdered ingredients as I can. I don't want the bits of garlic in here, I just want the garlic flavor. So this is one case where I'm going to cook with garlic powder instead of fresh. and we're just going to put in, oh, say a tablespoon worth or so. We're only going to put in our spice batches once and brown the beef in it. After this batch here is done, we're just going to take it out, put in our next batch. If you cut your meat really lean, you're not going to have any fat left over. If you didn't do that, you need to drain out the beef fat. And you're probably going to want to add a little bit more of these spices after you drain out that fat. But get your beef really lean to begin with, and you don't have to worry about it. Now we're going to put in, a good 3 or 4 tablespoons of onion powder here. Alternatively, you could finely dice up a fresh onion. But again, I prefer the powder. And we're going to put in a couple tablespoons of the regular chili powder. Just a little bit to give it a kickstart. Okay. So this is going to brown up. I'm going to get a spoon, start stirring it. We'll get this batch out and get the next one in. Second batch is done here. Get out of here. And you can see there's a lot of fat that rendered off. So we're going to go ahead and drain this. And then we're going to add in our first batch, which I've also already drained. Now we're going to put beef together. I'm going to throw in another tablespoon of chili powder. And about another tablespoon of each of the garlic and onion salt, or powder. Give that a quick stir. Just mix it up. Alright, now we're going to add our can of chicken broth. Dump the whole thing in. Oh, come on. I'm a guy, I have no nails. We're going to put this in, bring it to a boil, and then we're going to let it simmer for an hour. And this is pretty much how it's going to go for the next 3 hours or so. Add heat, wait, add heat, wait, add heat, wait. That's really all there is to making some really kick-ass chili. Mix this up a little bit, get the spices in the broth. We're going to put a lid on it. Check it in a few minutes. As soon as it comes to a boil, we're going to take it down to a simmer and time it for an hour. Give it a stir every 15 minutes or so, but it shouldn't really do anything. And then we're going to be ready for the next step, adding some good spices. 1 hour's up, and we are ready to start the second stage. Beef is getting tender. It's certainly cooked by now. House smells great, by the way. Alright, now the second stage, really easy. We're just going to be adding some more liquid and some more body and just a little bit of spices. We're going to add half this can, or box thing, of the beef broth. We're going to reserve some because, like I said, we're going to thin it to taste nearer the end. Just get half of that in. We're going to put in both cans of our tomato sauce, the regular. Kick the heat up to high. I want this to come up to a simmer pretty quickly. And the can of the Mexican, this is the El Pato brand, Mexican hot style tomato sauce. Yep, it's got a little kick to it. Not like chipotle kick, but has a spice. It's more than just tomatoes. And then we're going to do just about a teaspoon of the green chilies. And if you don't want a lot of the heat, pick the seeds out. If you want to get a fresh green chili, you can slice it, take the membrane and the seeds out and just very finely chop it up. That's fine too. We're just putting a little bit in here. This should give a bit of a sweetness and a nice little kick. It's about a teaspoon. And that's it. So you can see why I buy these tiny little cans. That's all we're going to be using for this recipe. And we're going to put in your favorite hot sauce to taste. You know, this is just for flavor. This really isn't going to kick it up any, but I like the taste of the Frank's Red Hot. I just want a little bit of it in here. You know, a tablespoon or so. Optional, personal taste. You can use Tabasco, or if you've got a favorite local hot sauce that you like, stick some in there. Mix it up. I'm going to bring this back up to temp. It should only take a couple minutes here on high. Just basically heating up the tomato sauce and the beef broth. And then we're going to cover it. Let it set for another hour. And then after that, we've got 2 stages of adding our spices. And we're going to thicken this up with some cornstarch. Alright. Cover it back up. Put our heat back down to simmer. Set our timer again. See you in an hour. Another hour is up. Time for our next batch of goodies. This one is going to be spices. This is where the flavor is really going to start to come in. Putting in all of our base flavor and some of the heat. The real intense one, the chipotle, is going to go in last. Because frankly, I don't want this fire-breathing chili. It's going to have a lot of good heat in it. But I want it to be a long-lasting, not take a bite and start crying kind of thing. So we're going to start with 1 cup of our regular chili powder. And again, this doesn't have a lot of heat. This is just a lot of good flavor. And then I have 2 tablespoons each of the Mexican hot chili powder, cumin, and the ancho chili. These are medium heat, and they're more on the aftertaste. They also have really good flavor, especially the cumin. And I've got 1 tablespoon of salt. Those all go in. Mix these in really well. This is going to help start to thicken it up. We're still going to put in some cornstarch in the next batch. So really all we have left after this is the fire. We're going to be putting in just a little bit of the chipotle, and this is going to be to taste. If you like your chili really hot, feel free to do more than I'm going to do. If you're not a big fire fan, just leave it out. It's still going to have really great flavor as is. And then we're going to adjust the thickness at the very end. And one last final step. Now, this is all mixed in. Once again, cover it up. Let it simmer for an hour. One thing I almost forgot, we need to add our cornstarch to help thicken things up here. I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons worth. And you need to stir it in real good. Then at the end, if you want it thinner, we can add more of our beef broth, which I will probably do. This also helps develop volume. If you don't do this, and you don't add more broth, you don't end up with a whole lot of chili. As you can see, it's not that much as it is. You know, about a half a spoon depth here. We've got maybe, if we're lucky, 8 bowls right now worth. We're smelling pretty good. Alright, got that mixed in, so we're going to go ahead and let this set. Okay, we're ready for the last step. This one's really simple. This is the season 2 taste part. Now we've got our thickening agent, the cornstarch in there. So now you have to look at it. Now, remember it's going to thicken as it cools also. So if you like your chili on the thick side, leave it as is. It's going to be nice. If you like it thinner, more towards a soup, now this is pretty thick. As it cools, this is going to be pretty chunky. So I'm actually going to add some more beef broth. Maybe another half cup or so. I think that should bring it right about where I like it. And now we're going to add as much fire as we want. Now my wife is probably going to be having some of this, so I'm not going to go crazy. Me, I love fire. Her, not so much. Most people, not so much. I'm the weirdo. So I'm only going to put in about 1 tablespoon worth of the chipotle chili pepper. And believe me, that's all you need for this pot. That's going to give the immediate kick right when you take a bite of the chili. It doesn't last very long. That's why we've got the other chilies in there. Those have the fire, the longer lasting fire and heat on the aftertaste. So it's a really nice balance. And of course, a nice bit of sweetness, a pepper sweetness, not a sugar sweetness, coming from at least 2 of those chili spices. Now for the actual sweetness, because a good chili is a balance of the salt, the heat, and the sweet. So now we're going to add in, I ran to the store and I got some more dark brown sugar. And this is going to give us our sweet molasses taste. You don't need a whole lot. I'm only going to put in a couple tablespoons worth. But again, this is personal choice. If you like it on the sweeter side, or if you are choosing not to put in much heat, if any, you're probably going to want some more flavor coming out of here. So just a couple tablespoons worth there. Mix this in. That's smelling pretty good. I'll tell you what, when I came home I could smell this outside pulling up in the garage through the door. It smells like home cooking. Real nice here. Alright, now this isn't going to take long. We're just going to bring everything up to temp now. Just let it simmer for about 15-20 minutes. And take it off the heat. It'll be ready to plate up. And we're done. So that wasn't so bad. Very easy to make. I forgot to mention, during the process, feel free to taste test. You know, just put a little spoon in there, blow it off. Get a feel for how the spices are coming together, what kind of flavors you're getting out of it. Make fine adjustments if you want to. I did a taste test just after I shut the camera off here, and it's spot on. Absolutely beautiful. I blended this for a very consistent heat. I don't want a big heat rush when you put it in your mouth. I don't want it to intensify with an aftertaste. This is a nice, I mean, it's got a good heat to it. It's not too much for most people, I think. But it's very consistent. That's what I was going for. Got a great texture here. It's not too thin, it's not too thick. You can see it's like a thick soup or a chowder. Holds together. The meat is absolutely fall apart tender. Absolutely beautiful. You can see it's breaking apart into bits, and that's what you want. You know, they have the consistency of boiled potatoes at this point. So, really nice there. Now to serve it up, let me grab a spoon here. Actually, a measuring cup is fine. Serve it up. You can garnish it however you wish. You can, of course, eat it plain. No problem with doing that whatsoever. That's nice. You know, you can put some sour cream on it. A little dollop of sour cream here. I like to sprinkle the top with a little bit of dill. Now I need a spoon. There we go. Beautiful homemade, world's best Walmart chili. Let's give her a taste test here. Wow, that is good. It's like crock pot meat texture with a really nice complex chili flavor. Nice solid heat going through. It's not burning my mouth off, but it's got a lot of nice spice. Alright, that's beautiful. So there you go. There's, well, one of my favorite chili variations anyway. Like I said, it's tough to make the same batch twice in a row. Give it a shot. If you're a chili head, if you're a spice head, you're going to love this one. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. Stuff. We'll see you next time.